Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Yende. Let me begin with a question. How many people have you smelled today? You might instinctively answer, 0. But modern neuroscience invites a very different intuition. The true number is probably in the dozens. Every person you pass leaves behind an invisible chemical cloud, a constantly shifting microscopic atmosphere of volatile molecules. These molecules form a biological signature, hundreds of airborne cues that carry information about who we are in the moment. Your brain is sampling those cues all day long, often beneath the level of conscious awareness. For most of us, one of the biggest misconceptions in science and in everyday life is that humans are poor smellers. We are told dogs rule the realm of scent, that we are primarily visual creatures, and that smell plays only a decorative role in our lives. But what if that tidy hierarchy is misleading? What if your nose is not an accessory, but one of the most powerful and ancient sensory systems you own, quietly shaping your emotions, memories, relationships, stress responses, and even decisions every single day? Today we're going to open a window onto one of the most surprising frontiers in neuroscience, the hidden chemical world of human smell. By the time we're done, you may find yourself regarding your nose with a new kind of respect. Most people assume smell is about perfume, coffee, flowers, food, or unpleasant odors. Those are certainly part of it. But smell is one of the oldest senses in evolutionary history. Long before language, long before highly developed vision, long before the kind of abstract thinking that defines modern humans, life navigated the world through chemistry. Tiny molecules carried vital instructions: where food was, where danger lurked, who was friend or foe. In many ways, your brain still relies on that ancient channel. Hidden inside your nasal passages are millions of specialized receptors tuned to detect minute concentrations of volatile molecules. The sensitivity is astonishing. Humans can, in some cases, detect substances at concentrations measured in parts per billion. To put that in everyday terms, your nose can sometimes register the equivalent of a single drop of a substance spread through the volume of an entire swimming pool. That kind of sensitivity means smell is not a blunt instrument. It is subtle, precise, and deeply informative. And here's where it gets truly intriguing. Your nose is not only sampling the environment, it's sampling people. Every person you encounter emits chemical information, signals that reflect stress, immune activity, hormonal changes, emotional states. Your brain and body continuously process these signals, often without your conscious awareness. You might think you assess someone mainly by their face, their clothes, or their words. Beneath that visible surface, another layer of evaluation is unfolding. A chemical conversation that began long before a single sentence was spoken. Take something as ordinary as a handshake. Most of us regard it as a social ritual, a cultural gesture of greeting or respect. But studies of human behavior show that after handshakes, people often bring their hands up toward their faces, subtly and repeatedly, sometimes without noticing. Why? One plausible explanation is that the handshake acts not just as a social bond, but as a biological sampling event. A brief exchange of chemical information that your brain then monitors. In other words, the handshake can be both etiquette and information gathering. We also smell ourselves, continuously. Right now, you are surrounded by an odorous halo of your own making, a personal chemical microclimate. Most people don't notice their own scent because the olfactory system habituates. Nerve cells reduce their response to a constant stimulus, so it fades from conscious awareness. Habituation, though, doesn't mean the information disappears. The brain keeps an internal record. Behavioral observations show many people repeatedly move their hands toward their faces during the day, and many of those gestures appear to be connected to chemical sampling, a subconscious way of checking on internal states, from stress to digestion to emotional arousal, without asking for permission from your conscious mind. Then there is memory, one of smell's most dramatic effects. Why can a single scent transport you to a precise moment from years ago? Why can a perfume bring back the feel of a relationship? Or the smell of a kitchen recall childhood afternoons? Unlike many other sensory pathways, olfactory information takes a relatively direct route to brain regions involved in emotion and memory, notably parts of the limbic system. The result is what Proust famously described: a sudden flood of vivid recollection triggered by a simple aroma. One whiff can unfold an entire scene, complete with emotions, textures, and sounds. And breathing, the most mundane physiological act, turns out to play a role in how the brain processes information. We often think of breathing purely as oxygen delivery. Inhale, exhale, repeat. But research suggests the timing of inhalation and exhalation can influence cognitive performance. For example, some cognitive tasks in memory retrieval appear to be modulated by the phase of breathing, with subtle differences in attention and perception linked to whether we are breathing in or out. In this way, the rhythm of your breath may help organize neural activity, so every inhale is not just air intake, but a potential influence on how your brain thinks. One of the stranger, lesser-known features of olfaction is the nasal cycle. Most people assume both nostrils are equally open all the time. They are not. Typically, one nostril offers greater airflow while the other is relatively restricted, and they switch dominance over hours. This alternating pattern is tied to the autonomic nervous system, the same system that governs stress responses, rest and recovery, and arousal state. The nasal cycle may act like a subtle barometer of your internal state, silently reflecting changes in sympathetic or parasympathetic activity. In other words, your nose can give you clues about whether your body is geared for fight or flight or for calm and digestion. Taken together, these points highlight a larger truth. Humans are far more chemically aware than we commonly admit. We picture ourselves as visual animals, swayed by images and words. Yet underlying our conscious life is a continuous, rich stream of chemical information. This invisible layer carries social signals, emotional states, indicators of health, and cues about the environment. Information our brains have been processing for millions of years, long before the invention of smartphones, social media, or even speech. So, the next time you walk into a room, meet someone new, hug a loved one, or savor the smell of fresh coffee in the morning, remember something remarkable. Your brain is not just seeing the world, it is smelling it, interpreting it, and responding to it every second of every day. I'm Dr. Yende. This is OXYZEN Health Intelligence. Before I leave you with a question, think about this. What smell from your childhood can instantly transport you back in time? The warm, yeasty aroma of a grandmother's kitchen? The sweet, dusty scent of rain hitting hot pavement? The unmistakable perfume of someone you once loved? The dry, chalky air of a school classroom? Tell us in the comments below. Memory can live in many places, but some of our deepest, most emotional memories live in the nose.